Having your 501c3 IRS determination and passion don't mean a thing unless you have structure to your nonprofit. Hi, I'm Ashley Adams with Lotus 9, where we help new and grassroots nonprofit founders such as yourselves obtain foundation funding without burnout, gatekeeping, or trying to figure it out on your own. In today's video, we're going to try to figure out if you're really ready to apply for grants. So we're going to cover three points today. The first one is what funders are really looking for, the three basic pieces that you need in place before you hire a grant writer or hit submit on that grant application, and then finally, how to get started finding funders who are a good fit for your nonprofit. So when I first started out helping smaller nonprofits find grants for their organization and write the grant applications, I kept coming across these organizations who really had a good cause. They were motivated, driven, and they were definitely passionate, but they just weren't ready to apply for grants yet. So they were missing things like they didn't have a clear mission, they really didn't have a program design, they really didn't have a budget, and then the biggest thing was it was one person doing all the work for the organization, and that's going to lead to burnout. So in the end, I would, give them advice and try to help them along, but I would end up turning down the opportunity to work with them because they just didn't have what they needed to apply for grants, and I didn't want to have that on my conscience, knowing that any half-decent grant reviewer would not give them the time of day with the information that I had that would go into an application. And it was clear, they just didn't know what they didn't know, and that's understandable. That's why we're doing this video today for you. So I get it. You want to make a change, but for that change to be meaningful and sustainable, you have to learn how the grant process works. And it's more than just filling out an application or hitting submit on a grant application. So let's get to the first point. Funders look for alignment. Funders look for alignment, not perfection. And basically what that means is that a lot of nonprofit founders think as long as it looks good on the outside, funders are more likely to fund them, but that's not the case. So you can have the fancy website, business cards, flyers. I've even seen some grassroots organizations have billboards that they've paid for, but when you get down to the bottom of it, what a foundation, what a community foundation wants is that your mission is in alignment with what their mission is, period. And any funder will be that way. So you need to ask yourself, can I clearly define or explain what my nonprofit does, who we serve, and how we make an impact in the community? You also want to ask yourself, do your core programs align with the focus areas of the funders that you're potentially going to reach out to? So here's a quick example of misalignment. Let's say you're a youth mentor organization, and you're looking for someone to partner with to obtain funding. If that's the case, you shouldn't be approaching a foundation that's focused on educational programs. So what I mean by that, unless the youth organization is focused on or is tracking academic success of their clients, like school attendance, increase in grade level, GPA improvement, things of that nature, more than likely a foundation that's focused on educational services would not be interested in a youth mentoring program. And also, if you're not tracking any of these things, they're definitely not going to be interested. So we're here to point two. You need a basic organizational foundation in place before you apply for grants. Funders want to know, if they give you this money, can you use it responsibly? So at the very basic level, you should have a clear budget, and that basically includes everything that it takes to execute your program, your mission statement, and your mission statement should describe the bigger picture of the work that you're doing. You definitely need program descriptions, and like the title says, you need to be able to describe your program. A funder wants to know from A to Z what your program is going to do. Who you work with? Do you have any partners? How do you get referrals? What's the actual process of the program? What are the expected outcomes? things of that nature. You should have written down somewhere. And then finally, you need a way to track your success and the impact that you're having. So funders need to know, are you serving who you say you're going to serve? How many are you serving? And are the people that you're serving getting the expected outcome that was written in your grant application? And then you also need to have a way to track all of this information. The most basic way outside of pen and paper is have an Excel spreadsheet. So when your clients or the people you're serving are going through your services, are you having them fill out client satisfaction surveys? When they start services, are they filling out some kind of intake form to collect that demographic information? They should be. And with all those forms, the data needs to be condensed down into a spreadsheet for now. Once you get going and grow, you'll be able to purchase some kind of grant management software, and you can put all that information in there. But for people that are just starting out, an Excel spreadsheet is just fine. So we're to our third point. Relationships matter more than applications. Generally speaking, co-applications don't get funded unless there's a special case. I know sometimes major community foundations, they may change what they traditionally fund and may have emergency funding, and you might be able to get in that way. Generally speaking, co-applications don't get funded. Funders want to invest in people and organizations they trust, and that trust, it takes time to build. So you may be thinking, well, how do I build a relationship with a funder? You can start by listening and looking for opportunities and ways to connect with funders and their staff. You don't have to go for the president or the CEO. Program officers are just fine. They're actually the gatekeepers, in my opinion, to various foundations. So you can try following them. Look them up on Facebook. One way to look for them is on LinkedIn. You can also try other social media. You can attend information sessions at community foundations, and that's a big one I love to attend. Even if I'm not in particularly looking at applying for this grant on behalf of someone, that's a good way to get to know the foundation that you could potentially work with. And they always have staff available. Here you can pick their brain and see what's on the horizon for the foundation. So if you get a chance to run into a program officer or someone else that works for a foundation, you should ask good questions. You shouldn't say things like, well, how do I get money from your foundation? That's kind of rude. But you may want to ask, what kind of organizations are you looking to fund in the future? Is there any one particular organization you're excited about supporting right now? Depending on what they say, this can kind of give you an idea of the types of organizations they fund, and you could kind of compare and contrast yourself and see, am I similar in some veins? And if you're different, is this an opportunity to bring a new focus potentially to the foundation? Long story short, however you engage, you just need to engage in a meaningful manner. So I got a bonus tip. You should always ask yourself this before applying for any grant opportunity. If I got $25,000 tomorrow, or whatever amount you want to use, do I have the structure to manage it, track it, and to show the funder that I made a difference with the money they gave me? If the answer is no to any of these, don't worry. This is letting you know that you're not quite ready yet. You're just in the pre-grant phase, and that's okay. Use this time to build up your grant readiness, and so you're not chasing dollars that you're not positioned to handle yet. I hope this video was insightful. I hope everything makes sense to you. I want to recap what we discussed today, and then you can leave any comments or questions in the comment section for me. First, funders want alignment, not perfection. Your nonprofit's foundation and clarity on your mission and your setup matters. Build relationships with funders instead of sending random grant applications. And finally, ask yourself, if I get this funding, can I responsibly manage and report out on it? Here are a few action steps I want you to take time to go over to kind of utilize some of the information we went over today. If you've ever been denied for a foundation grant, or you have a potential funder in mind that you would like to reach out to, Review your mission and program alignment with that funder. In the case that you were denied, look and see, could this potentially be the reason why you were denied? Does your nonprofit and program align with that foundation? Secondly, create and review a basic budget and tracking system if you don't have one. If you have one, go over it and make sure you've included everything that's needed to fully fund your organization and your program. Can you tell, review your information to see if you're serving the correct people and what their outcomes are as a result of your nonprofit's intervention. Then finally, you should choose one funder to research and follow this week. You can use LinkedIn, their website, or whatever information you find. Pull it together and try to find as much information about them as you can. And based on this information and reviewing your mission and your programming, see if you two align. And if you do, that's someone you could potentially reach out to for grant funding. All right, that's the end of the video. So if you found this information helpful, like I said before, drop a comment below. And you can also join the Lotus 9 community by clicking the link below, and you can get our grant readiness checklist that'll help you kind of go over some of the information we discussed today, but in more detail. You can click the link below for that as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, you already have the passion and funding. Now you just got to get grant ready. See you next time.